Hello everybody, welcome along. My name is Benjamin Bloom. This is the Benjamin Bloom Football Channel. Please leave your bias at the door and join me to react to the news from last night that Norwich City, one of our dearly departed teams on the channel, have fired manager Daniel Farke. Norwich actually got their first Premier League win last night against Brentford, or yesterday afternoon. But clearly this decision had already been made and that they were going to get the last game played before the international break. And Farke was going to be gone. He'd been at Norwich for 4 seasons, including 2 promotions from the Championship. Obviously, a relegation from the Premier League into the bargain as well. And currently bottom of the Premier League table. Let's have a look at what the Norwich website says. We're going to ignore the first half of that because I can talk you through his time at Norwich and just go straight to the quotes. By the way, his backroom staff there are going as well. So it does look like a complete clean sweep, whatever sporting director Stuart Webber has got up his sleeve in terms of new people coming in. Here are the quotes from Webber then. And continue to demand the very best for our football club. This decision was not an easy one. I know how determined Daniel and his staff were to succeed at this level, but we feel that now is the right time for a change to give ourselves the best opportunity of retaining our Premier League status. All at Norwich should be forever grateful to Daniel and his staff for the significant role they have played in our journey. They helped deliver 2 championship titles, many memorable moments, and they all fully bought into our philosophy and what it means to be part of the football club. Daniel and his staff will always be welcome back. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank them for all of their hard work and wish them well for the future. It's important now we look forward. We have 27 games remaining and a long way to go in the current season. We know they have the ability within our playing squad and staff to start picking up points and climbing the league table. The club will issue a further update on its first team staff in due course. So Farke gone there. Honestly, not really too much to read into the statement. Very kind of thank you and goodbye. So who knows what's going to be happening and who's going to be coming in at Norwich. We'll get on to that. Let's just talk about Farke first. And Norwich were basically a completely different club when he arrived. And it's very difficult to separate him from sporting director Webber, who was just speaking there. So my recollection is Norwich came down and had Alex Neil, didn't they, in the first year of their parachute payments in 16-17. That would be right, wouldn't it? And then pretty much at the point in the season where it looked like they weren't going to make the playoffs, Neil went out. I'm not entirely sure of my timelines, but that was roughly the time that Norwich hit the reset button, went for Webber then as director of football. Webber had been at Huddersfield and they got promoted with David Wagner and some innovative recruitment involving Germany and Bundesliga 2. And Norwich, Webber and Norwich fans get prickly when you make a comparison. It's not unreasonable to make a comparison because Wagner was, I think, plucked from Dortmund's 2, and so was Daniel Farke, who came in 17-18, and it was just a complete sea change at Norwich because, let's be frank, recruitment-wise, Norwich had been a bit of a laughing stock in terms of spending money on, I don't know, Van Wolfswinkel, Brady, Pritchard, Wildschut, who's the Portuguese fella? Oliveira, Gary Hooper. I think they'd frittered away quite a lot of money sort of chasing the dragon. And all of a sudden, they went from wasting money to spending it very, very efficiently. That 17-18 season wasn't very good for Norwich. I think they finished 13th, 14th, 14th, wasn't it? and relied rather on James Maddison, who was also a key figure in all of this, because they're going to sell him for, I think, 25 million quid at the end of that season, and reinvest the money absolutely brilliantly. And nobody saw it coming the next season. Let's be fair, the football wasn't great under Farke in the first season. I saw them a few times. The fans weren't convinced. The recruitment, like I say, traditionally hadn't been very good. There was a reliance on Maddison. And then all of a sudden, all at once, all of those things changed. It was quite the spectacular rise. The football, it took 2 or 3 months that season, was brilliant all of a sudden. And I do think that season, particularly with Farke, Bielsa and Wilder, Championship just went up a level, and all of a sudden, passing football, Neil Warnock had been promoted the season before, playing the way that Neil Warnock plays. I think Sean Dyche had been promoted the season before with Burnley as well, and all of a sudden we have Leeds, Norwich and Sheffield United leading the way, playing beautiful passing football. And the recruitment as well, just spectacular, including probably the most influential player at any club in the Championship. Give or take maybe Grealish at Villa, who very, very much seemed to be very important there. But Emi Buendia coming in at Norwich, just spectacular. And I get that some people will hear me say all this and talk about Maddison and talk about Webber and talk about recruitment and was that Farke, and then talk about Buendia and was that Farke. But the way he knitted that team together, they were absolutely brilliant, with Aarons and Lewis going down the sides. And look, Buendia was obviously, you could tell sort of 5 or 6 months into that season that he was just leagues above the division that he was playing, and just beating up and sliding in Pookie every game for, I think, got 29 goals, didn't he? Pookie. But it was all knitted together by Farke, and the way a team plays, that's the manager. That's not the sporting director. Okay, you can give a player, a lot of credit, and Buendia was obviously very, very influential, but it was a very brave team. It was a very attacking team, a thrilling team to watch, and just one of the biggest leaps you'll see in the Championship from 14th up to 1st. And Farke went from, is he doing a very good job? Is he relying too much on James Maddison? To, no, this guy's team produces amazing football and a sensational promotion. How many points did they get? 94 points from 14th place the season before, with a huge turnaround of plays. It was a brilliant job that he did. Now, unfortunately, in the Premier League, it didn't go so well. But, I get both sides from Norwich supporters on this. Some get very fed up when you say, oh, okay, club size, resource, etc. Be cautious. All those things can be true. I'm not suggesting that Norwich should just accept defeat whenever they go into the Premier League. But that first time, particularly when the promotion came absolutely out of nowhere, the club, frankly, if they hadn't gone up that season, probably would then start to get into, we all know what it's like if you don't have a parachute payment in the Championship, unless you are brilliant in terms of, the way Brentford were 3 years running, or Sheffield United tactically finding their way through, Huddersfield season, lightning in a bottle season. It's hard. It gets really, really hard. And Norwich got promoted in their first season without a parachute payment, but very cleverly kind of set it up going into that. They did a brilliant job. But then up in the Premier League, I think the what's been the quotes, sent to war without a gun, I think Webber said of Farke. And I think the key thing was he went up and tried to play the same type of football, the 4-2-3-1, with Buendia and Pookie and Aarons down that right-hand side. And, it just didn't work, did it? Norwich finished bottom. And look, you can talk about COVID hitting and games behind closed doors. You can talk about resource. You can talk about cliff edges in wealth, and all of those things are reasonable. But I do get the argument from Norwich fans of, well, but look, on the pitch it was terrible. Yeah, I get both sides of it, but I think it was quite reasonable that Farke then kept his job, came down back into the Championship, and I think they all knew at the club if they kept Buendia, who went out? Godfrey went out for a load of money. Lewis went out. And to be fair, that's what Norwich have done very, very well. More so than any other club that's been in the Championship, really. Brentford, you would argue, equally in terms of sales. You know, probably neck and neck, those two there. But sell players and, bring in money. And they kept the one that they really needed to keep, that was Buendia. And again, he just dominated in the Championship with Farke. And another 97 points and another promotion. Obviously, this one wasn't a surprise, and Norwich were hot favourites and were actually able to, at the start of the season, invest in, I think Janulis came in possibly during the season. Hugill was a plan B. Dowell had done well for Wigan and was signed the season before. Ben Gibson was a £15 million player on a loan to buy, and Skip from Tottenham was extremely good at it. So look, they were hot favourites, and they went from being perhaps in 18-19 a shock winner to nobody was shocked at all. I think most people would have had Norwich in terms of best squad, best manager, best resources, etc. They got promoted with 97 points. So then you get to this season, and you have this guy now who's had a surprise promotion, a brilliant promotion, by the way, in 18-19, a relegation with some mitigating factors, given then the next season, and a big promotion again, an expected promotion. I'm not saying that any team that's expected to get promoted gets to. Don't get narky with me in the comments, Norwich fans. You know what I'm saying. They were a hot favourite and they performed well. Two things can be true there. Up they go, and it was almost like, well, okay, here you go. This is the season you'll be judged. You've had your relegation and kept your job, and up into the Premier League, and out goes that guy Buendia. And again, a lot of people will say Farke's success at Norwich is tied to Webber and tied to Buendia, and I don't know. We'll never know now. He's gone. Whether he could have done it without him. The fact is, he didn't, did he? Because Buendia went out. A lot of money was spent. I think Stuart Webber went on the offensive in some interviews and said, can everybody shut up about the model, frankly? I'm tired of talking about it. We've spent the 11th most money in Europe. And Gibson was then signed from the season before, wasn't he? So was Janulis. Cholis, this other youngster from Greece. Gilmour on loan. Kabak on loan. Williams from Manchester United on loan as well. Sargent and Rasica. I'm probably missing out a couple of players. But Norwich sold their best player, Buendia, but did then spend. I think where it's all gone terribly wrong is Norwich in 1920 had a reputation of playing good football, being attacking, and I don't like the word naive, because it implies that us sitting here in my office, naive, that I know more about this guy, about what he did wrong. That's but that was what was said about Norwich. They were kind of naive. They left themselves open, and they weren't physically strong. They didn't defend set plays well, and that side of the game in the Premier League they didn't do very well. Albeit progress the ball, attack. Buendia and Pukki very, very good, etc., etc. And it almost seems like he went too far the other way this season. Farke. He did start. Did he start with a 4-2-3? I think he might have started with a sort of 4-3-3 type strategy, but you had Gilmour in midfield. I don't want to pile in on Gilmour and players just running through the central midfield with that setup in the first few games. And then all of a sudden it goes to this 3-5-2, and you're sort of saying, okay, if they had the physicality, the extra centre-back, the wing-backs have got that extra protection. Norman, the central midfielder, comes in, which is more the player, they would want in central midfield there. Maybe they can get 2 strikers together up the top, or 3 working tight in a 3-4-3 type thing. All makes sense on paper, but then all of a sudden it seemed to be that the change in shape completely stopped the philosophy and the brilliant passing that Norwich fans were all used to. And this is where we're sat now, with Norwich well bottom. They have got their first win now, but 1 win in 11, 5 goals scored and 26 conceded. Has the air of a team that, will be cut adrift before long. I get the argument to a certain extent that the start was very difficult. I think they played Manchester City and Liverpool and Chelsea, who are clearly the 3 hardest teams, all within the first 8 or 9 games. But obviously they lost 3-0, 5-0 and 7-0, wasn't it, against those 3. So they were miles and miles off it. And they've made a hard decision to sack a guy who's been a brilliant manager for their club. Look, obviously you don't have to keep a guy forever who's been a good manager. If they're not doing a good job there and then, it is what it is. And I'm very guilty of judging Farke purely on Championship, where he was outstanding, pretty spotless actually. If you give him the first season as development and then 94 points and 97, there won't be many who have better points per game records than him down there in the Championship. And I'm sure plenty of owners will be very, very eager to try and get him in there. In terms of Farke, actually, that's probably where he's going to be perceived now, given how he's performed in the Championship and how he's performed in the Premier League. So we'll see where he pops up. Good luck to him. Again, I'm a big fan, and the football they produced, from me watching them in 17-18 and thinking they're just giving the ball to Maddison every time and hoping he does something, to this thrilling young fullbacks way forward, attack, winning loads of games late by 1 goal, not by luck, by attack. Buendia, incredible. Pukki, very, very good as well. He was tremendous at Championship level, but at Premier League level, he didn't do it, and we're never going to find out whether he could do it at Norwich, because they have pulled the trigger. Time will tell whether this is the right call. We don't know. It's a brave call. I think Norwich fans would have got fidgety had they been, at the bottom of the league. They frankly could sit at the bottom of the league for a long, long time, given their start. Even if they're going to stay up, it might still be a slow rise out of there. So what will be interesting is to see who comes in for Norwich now. Stuart Webber mentioned in that in the quotes on the Norwich website that our philosophy and all of that good stuff. Well, if that's the case, the philosophy was progressing the ball, a European market, and perhaps you or I may not have heard of who the new Norwich manager is going to be. What we do know, since Webber's been there, is heavily researched and planned out, and dipping into markets that we can't know about every league in the world. That's not our job. Highly paid pros can know about every league in the world because they have 20 researchers working for them, giving them the numbers on every league in the world. So I will presume that I haven't heard of the new Norwich manager, and if I have heard of them, I will actually be quite surprised whenever that does get announced. Just one more thing before we wrap up. Obviously, Stuart Webber, contract up at the end of the season. I wonder now whether this means he stays in the effect of, okay, it's a new guy coming in, And is it the right thing to do from Webber now to bring a new guy in and then leave at the end of the season and off we go? So I don't know. There's rumours that he is going to sign a new contract. I don't know. We'll find out about that. But just to close on Daniel Farke, brilliant manager in the Championship, brilliant promotion in 18-19, side by side with Webber and Buendia, and obviously Maddison, a big influence in the first season, and the money he then raised to then invest in the next season. I'm a big fan. I hope to see him back. We may see him back in the Championship. I don't know whether he ends up going off into Europe, but good luck to him. I get the decision. People will say I'm sat on the fence, but honestly, I understand both sides from Norwich fans here of, look, could he have done it and been kept in? Possibly, who knows? But sometimes you do just have to make a change, and it's a ruthless business, and Farke has gone. Let me know what you think down there in the comments. On Farke and whether this was the right time and the right way and the right thing for Norwich. Who you think might come in? Have we heard of them? Possibly not. And also Webber and Norwich going forward. It seems like a key time now for Norwich that they had a guy with his feet very under the table there, and they've now got to get things moving in the right direction again. Thank you everybody for watching. Get your thoughts in the comments. Obviously, good luck to Daniel Farke wherever he winds up. And it's a big over and out from me, and I think I've got to go and talk about Neil Warnock now. So a long day ahead. Thanks for watching, and do get involved in the comments. Over and out.